Now, speaking of AEW, as we wind down here with AEW All In 2024 predictions for this Sunday at Wembley Stadium. As it currently stands, this is the card. They will probably add more matches to the 0-hour buy-in, whatever you want to call it, the pre-show, in the coming days. The pre-show is like fucking 2 hours long. It either starts at 11 a.m. Eastern or 11:30. The actual show, the main card, starts at 1. And that was the case last year, and last year had like 3 or 4 matches on the pre-show. And like a random-ass segment with like fucking Big Show and Jeff Jarrett, maybe Grado, I think. I don't know. So my point is, I would not be surprised to see them add more stuff in the coming days, so just keep an eye out for that. But this is the card as it currently stands. I didn't read the Collision spoilers. I think they already taped Collision on Wednesday. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they already taped it. And if they did, I don't know what the results of that show are and what else they added to the card. So, 0 hour, the only match announced so far for the pre-show, Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, they announced the winners of this match will be able to determine the stipulation for Statlander and Nightingale at All Out 2 weeks later for the CMLL Women's World Championship. Chris Statlander beat Willow in that Eliminator match a couple of weeks back on Dynamite. I thought the third match or the fourth match, whatever it would have been, would have happened here on the show at All In, but they're going to save it for All Out instead because the card's already stacked as it is, so I get it. I wasn't initially thrilled with it, but I get why they're doing it. I would rather them have the tag team match here than do the match at All Out and, or rather, do the match here and have it be like fucking 5 minutes or 10 minutes on the pre-show. They do deserve more time and more focus, and hopefully they do get that at the All Out pay-per-view in a couple of weeks. This one could go either way. Honestly, it's pretty funny. This is probably the most unpredictable match on the entire show. I do think Statlander could ultimately beat Willow in a couple of weeks at All Out, so if that's the case, I could see Willow and Ishii winning here. Hathaway probably should not be beating a team that consists of Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. I mean, that would give them good heel heat, but I'll go with Team Willow, but it really doesn't matter. They had a tag team match at Forbidden Door a couple of months ago, and I think Willow's team won that. I don't remember, so I'm going to say Willow wins here, and she is able to choose this stipulation for their match at All Out. Statlander could win, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter either way. The Casino Gauntlet match. This is their third Casino Gauntlet in about 4 months. They did one coming out of Dynasty, I believe, or maybe coming out of Revolution. I think it was coming out of Dynasty because Ospreay won the Casino Gauntlet and then went on to win the International Championship, I think at Forbidden Door, or maybe Double or Nothing. So they did one in April, and then they did another one. I think Ospreay won both of them, right? Because I think he won the Casino Gauntlet to face Roderick Strong at Double or Nothing, and then he won another Casino Gauntlet to face Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door. So they did one like a month later. Both were won by Will Ospreay, if I'm remembering correctly. Will Ospreay is not in this one, so he's not in the odds-on favorite for this matchup. They have announced that Mark Briscoe will be in there, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Evil Uno, Adam Page, and a number of other people. The last 2 Casino Gauntlet matches on Dynamite were actually really, really good, so I am looking forward to this matchup. I think the most obvious pick has got to be Adam Page. The winner of this match does earn a future opportunity, probably at All Out. I would have to take a guess, at the AEW World Championship. And we should be getting Adam Page and Swerve again, whether it's for the championship or not. But I could totally see Adam Page facing Swerve for the title again at some point down the road. Maybe he earns the opportunity. Swerve loses the championship, gets it back, whatever the case might be. I do think Hangman's winning here. Last chance match for the FTW Championship, as if anyone gives a shit, but it's going to be Chris Jericho versus Hook again. A 6-month feud. Jericho has talked about how great it's been and how it's really elevated Hook, even though Hook's been in the same fucking level on this show for the last 2 years. He was challenging and defending that FTW Championship 2 years ago. He has won the thing 3 times. This will be his 4th, I believe. Who gives a shit at this point? You know what I mean? Like, who even cares? So I do think he will get the belt back. I would rather he lose, and then he can never challenge for the championship as long as Jericho is champion. But I know that's not going to happen. Jericho won the title, so Hook could eventually dethrone him for it, and that will happen here. I do think we get a new FTW champion in Hook for the 3rd or 4th time. The aforementioned London ladder match, I mentioned this earlier when talking about the Lucha Bros and how they probably would have been a logical addition to the match alongside Pac. Pac will probably still be in the match alongside Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. No, the pairing makes no fucking sense. Maybe they will explain it. I don't know. It is their way, I would imagine, of getting Pac on the show. So, yeah, it should be a crazy match. I mean, this is like fucking 12 people at once. 3, 3, 3, and 3. It's going to be the Patriarchy's Christian Cage, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne defending against the House of Blacks, Buddy Murphy, Malachi Black, and Brody King, and the Bang Bang Gangs, Juice Robinson, and the Guns. And then probably Pac and Claudio and Yuta. It could be Top Flight and Leo Rush. Very possible. I think it's more likely Pac is in there so they can get him on the show. They could have just put him in the Casino Gauntlet, but he already has a title shot in his back pocket for the International Championship, so they probably don't want to put him in another number one contenders match. I mean, this is also for a championship, but at least he's competing for a championship and not for a number one contender spot. That makes sense. But anyway, I feel like the Patriarchy, they just won the belts. Keep the belts on them. House of Black, we've seen with the belts before. Bang Bang Gang, same thing. Keep the belts in the Patriarchy and just move on. Coffin match for the AEW TNT Championship. Jack Perry defending against Darby Allin. This should be a really entertaining match, I think. The build has left a lot to be desired. It's been pretty simple, straightforward stuff. But I think the match will be good. I got Jack Perry going over, the AEW TNT champion. They've made it a point to bring up how Darby Allin is undefeated in coffin matches. He beat Brody King, I think, in a coffin match. He won a coffin match, casket match, whatever they called it, at All In last year alongside Sting against Christian Cage and Swerve, actually. And, I think he loses here because Darby doesn't need the TNT Championship. Jack Perry just won it 2 months ago. They could put the belt back on Darby. For what, though? It wouldn't really accomplish anything, so keep the championship on Jack Perry. AEW TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Britt Baker. The feud, you talk about feuds that have left a lot to be desired. This is one of them. I mean, it started strong, really cooled off there for a while, and not just because Britt was suspended in storyline and in real life. They just didn't really have a lot going on that was exciting until this past week. I thought on Dynamite they had a very good contract signing, some very good verbiage and promos from both of the women, so I thought it was a much more effective job of selling people on the match at the pay-per-view than whatever else they've been doing for the past 2 months. But I think the match will also be very good. Now, Monet just became TBS champion. Not just, I mean, she has been TBS champion since Double or Nothing in May. She could lose it, but I feel like there's more to gain from Baker being in chase mode as opposed to her immediately beating Monet for the championship. You could also set up Jamie Hayter coming back and challenging Monet instead, or as well at some point. But I guess the report was, not the report, but the current rumor is that Britt and Jamie Hayter aren't really on great terms personally, and maybe they won't be working with each other on the show, so maybe that won't be happening. It would be great to see Jamie Hayter pop up on the show, whether it be here or after the Women's World Championship match, which would make less sense, I feel like, to immediately transition into Mariah May and Jamie Hayter, because I do think Mariah May is going over. I think it would make more sense for Monet to go over here and Jamie Hayter to come out and challenge Monet either at All Out or at some other point down the road, and she gets the big reaction from the England crowd, which is where she's from. We'll see if that actually happens, but I do see either, regardless of whether Jamie Hayter comes back or not, I do see Mercedes Moné successfully retaining the AEW TBS Championship here. AEW World Tag Team titles, the Young Bucks, FTR, and the Acclaimed. It should be a quality match, but this tag team division desperately needs some new life. Like an injection of excitement, and I don't know what that would be. All three teams are very good, but the Bucks feel like they're on autopilot right now. FTR, we've seen them in this spot a lot against the Bucks. It's nothing really new at this point. I'm ready to move on from that feud. And the Acclaimed are as cold as fucking ice. I mean, they got to turn heel or something. Their shtick has been stale for a while now. So I really don't give a fuck who wins. I would probably prefer to see FTR win because they're just the more interesting team. They can give us better matches. Not that the Bucks are bad, but again, like I said, they've been on autopilot, it feels like, for a very long time now. At least since coming back as heels. And maybe that's the point. I don't know, in the spring. But I do see the Bucks retaining here, since it is a triple threat match and they can get away with stealing the win. Maybe after FTR and the Acclaim take each other out, they swoop in, steal the win, retain the titles. AEW Women's World Championship, I mentioned this before, Toni Storm and Mariah May. I do see Mariah May becoming champion, as she should. They've done a great job of the storyline since late last year, having Mariah May be brought in, be the protege of Toni Storm, now turning on her, taking that championship ideally here. I feel like that just makes the most sense. I think the match will be great. And they've done a really good job with the feud on TV, but I do think it culminates with a Mariah May win on this show, and her becoming the new AEW Women's World Champion. AEW American Championship, MJF and Will Ospreay, the former international title, obviously. I think Will Ospreay gets his moment at Wembley. I mean, he did last year technically by beating Chris Jericho, but this is a much more high-profile match, much higher-profile match than that one. It should also be a great match. Their first match on Dynamite, the hour-long match that went like 59 minutes and 58 seconds or whatever it was a fantastic match, one of the best in Dynamite history. And this is up there as one of the best as well. Or could be up there as far as one of the best in MJF's career in AEW. So I could see Ospreay. I do see Ospreay getting the belt back. Because remember, like I said earlier, Pac is still owed a shot at that international championship. They could do Pac and MJF. I mean, that's totally fine. But I see Pac and Ospreay being more likely for All Out than MJF and Ospreay. And they can always go back to MJF and Ospreay for the October show, for Wrestle Dream if they want to. But I do see Ospreay getting the belt back here in his home country. And then we get to the main event, the title versus career match for the AEW World Championship, Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. If Bryan Danielson loses, he has vowed to never wrestle again. Now, I find that very hard to believe because even though he has said his run is coming to an end in AEW, he has specifically said that he will continue to wrestle even though his full-time career is over, whether it be occasionally or once a year, once every couple years, whatever the fuck, and also wrestle probably wherever he wants. And not only that, but he has made many claims over the years that he intends to wrestle until he can't anymore. Wrestle until the day that he dies or whatever. So I would be very surprised, and I doubt he would break his promise of losing here and then going on to wrestle again. That would be pretty dumb. I think it's a lot more likely. I feel like they foreshadowed the finisher by having Danielson say that he is retiring soon. By having him say, I will never wrestle again, which we know is probably not true. More than likely not true. I feel like that gives away the finish and that Swerve's going to lose. And Swerve losing is fine. I think Danielson can get his moment, close out the show as the new world champion, and he's never won the AEW World Championship before. I do feel like, and I've said this before, Swerve would have more to gain from winning that match than Danielson. Danielson, I feel like it would have meant more for Danielson to lose here, and then maybe to win it for a quick run at Wrestle Dream, or retire as champion like Sting did. Or leave as champion, whatever. I feel like that would have made more sense. Because I think Wrestle Dream is in his home state of Washington. He hasn't said, he did say, my contract was up on August 1st, blah, blah, blah. They could sign a 2-month extension. If they sign a 3-week extension, they could sign a 2-month extension. And he's also being advertised for some of those shows in Washington in a couple of months. Now, they could take him off the advertising. But it is weird they would already be advertising if they don't know if he's going to wrestle at that point in storyline. So, all of that to say, I think Danielson wins here. New world champion. Hopefully we do get a rematch. Jack Perry... Is it Jack Perry? No, rather Darby Allin won the Royal Rampage match a few weeks ago. So he is owed a world championship shot at Grand Slam. I could see that being against Danielson. That's a first-time ever matchup. That would be cool. At All Out, I could see it being... I don't know, but I could see it being Swerve again at Wrestle Dream, though. I could see Danielson getting like a month, 5-6 week long run where he defends it All Out. He defends at Grand Slam. And then he loses it back to Swerve at Wrestle Dream in early October. I could totally see that happening. In their home state of Washington, he puts him over, and that's it for his retirement tour. I feel like that's more likely. If he loses here, I'd be shocked. I just don't think that's going to happen. And that's All In for Sunday. It does look like a very good card on paper. It looks like an even better card than last year. The build has been much better than last year, but the attendance is down. The build is one part of it. Last year, the card or the show was near sold out, like they said, around 80, 90,000, whatever, before a single match was even fucking announced. But that was, again, because of the historical nature of the show. Now, this is the second one. Is it the law of diminishing returns? I do think it is, and also in addition to the fact, the buzz around the product is not quite what it was even a year ago. And you're losing people like, Punk's not on the card this year, Omega's not there, Okada's not wrestling, which he's active, they just don't have him on the card. Moxley's not there right now. There's a few people that they still have out. Jamie Hayter is an English native, obviously, an England native, and she's not advertised for the show. She won't, she could be there, but she's not wrestling as of right now, so... they still have a lot of missing talent. Edge being another one. He got hurt a couple of months ago. He won't be on the show. So they're missing a couple big names. The build has been better. The buzz around the product isn't what it was even a year ago. So I could see why the attendance is down. But hopefully it's still pretty strong for this year and for next year in Dallas. I don't think it'll come close to the 40,000 mark, but maybe it will, and I'm wrong. I don't know. Time will tell.